The Corvette C8 market entered a new phase. Depreciation accelerated during last year, but appears to have stabilized now. Price trends are decreasing linearly and supply is no longer trending up. Moreover, used cars are for the first time priced below new cars. In this video we'll figure out how fast the cars are dropping in value and what this means for you as an owner, buyer or seller. As always, we'll start with a quick market overview before looking at the price trends. Over here we have the US Corvette C8 market of February 2020, split by roof type. We can see that there are 2,500 clean title cars for sale and that 61% of these cars are coupes. Naturally, the coupes are a tad cheaper as they go for $88,000, whereas you need to bring $99,000 for a cabriolet. Now if you watched my previous market update, you know that these prices are significantly lower than the ones of 3 months ago. If we split the market by the new, used and certified used cars, we can see that there are still a lot of new cars advertised for MSRP. According to this graph, you should be able to purchase a new C8 for $65,000, but as we all know, it's unlikely that you will get a new C8 at this price. And with that, it's time to have a look at the price trends. Over here we have the price trends for the used coupes and convertibles between November 2020 and February 2023. Let's cover a bit of price history before looking at the most recent developments. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you're aware that prices for C8 surged after their introduction. Prices started off far above MSRP, but also increased after that. Between November 2020 and August 2021, prices increased by approximately 4%. In this period, it was possible to buy a C8, drive it for a bit, and sell it with the same price or with a profit. However, the momentum turned down after August 21. Prices started to decrease and have been decreasing ever since, first slowly and then faster. The decrease rate accelerated in August of last year as prices dropped by a bit more than 7% in both markets, and this equals a drop of 8.2% in the convertible and $7,000 in the coupe market. Now as you can see, prices continue to fall by approximately 4.5% during the last 3 months. The absolute decrease was, therefore, slightly lower at $4,000 to $4,800. Now all of this means that compared to the market top of August 2021, prices are down by 17 to 18%. And this equals $21,500 in the convertible and $18,500 in the coupe market. So I think it's clear that the price trend is down, but compared to 1 year ago, the volatility decreased. We can see that depreciation rate stabilized and that basically the complete market follows the same path. Over here we have the price trends broken down by model year and by roof type. It looks like a big bunch of spaghetti, but don't worry. I just want to focus on the trends here. We can see that since August of last year, the cars depreciated all with approximately the same rate of 11 to 14% per 6 months. Naturally, this means that the new cars lost more in absolute terms than the older cars. Also, when you look at the price development for cars with the same mileage, you'll see a picture that looks similar to this one. In other words, also cars that were not driven decreased in price. Now what's interesting over here is that these price trends start to look like something we would have seen in any pre-pandemic market. Cars are depreciating and the new cars are losing more than the older ones. What's different though is that the C8s are still extremely expensive and in many cases more expensive than a new car at MSRP. Let's have a look at that. Over here we have again the aggregate price trends, but I also included the price trends for the new coupes and convertibles. And look at these price dynamics. Used cars are for the first time as expensive as new cars. So while the depreciation curve looks very typical, the prices themselves certainly aren't. Many of these new cars are advertised at MSRP, even though that you might not be able to buy them for MSRP. Nevertheless, this means that used cars are for the first time close to their original MSRP. That's of course crazy when you think about it. Used coupes, for example, tend to have a mileage of 3,500 miles and are 2 years old. So what does this mean for the future of C8 prices? Will we see an acceleration of the decrease rate or will prices bottom? Based on the data, I think that a continuation of the current decrease rate is not unlikely. Let me show you why. Starting with the supply levels, we can see that the market matured. Supply in the used market is no longer surging like it did before. It was relatively stable during the last 6 months. At the same time, supply for new C8s continued to increase slowly. All of this supports the decrease in price volatility. But supply by itself is not always a good indicator for what will happen to the prices. We also need to have a look at demand. While that's difficult to measure, we could look at a proxy for the market scarcity level, the time that a car is advertised for sale. And data for this analysis is very kindly provided by Autotempest. Autotempest conveniently pulls listings from a bunch of different websites into one place, so that you can browse through all of them. Check out the links in the description to find the Corvette C8s for sale right now. Let's have a look at the data. Over here we can see that the advertised time has been steadily increasing since the introduction of the C8. Back in 2020, it only took around 10 days to sell a C8, whereas we're now at 55 days. So based on this data, it appears to be so that the scarcity level in the market is still decreasing. And this of course matches with the price decreases. Moreover, given this trend, it seems unlikely that prices would stabilize at current levels. This number of 55 days is also quite similar to what we can see in other markets. So again, it makes sense that also the depreciation trends are aligned with the rest of the market. Naturally, this trend also means that the percentage of unsold cars after 3 months increased over time. Moreover, the unsold cars are getting discounted by approximately 3 to 4%, and this didn't happen in the early days. In fact, prices for unsold cars will increase with the market trend. Now the price decrease that we've seen in this video is not unique. Car prices in general are correcting, and this affects sports and supercars, but also everyday cars. The C8 trend, however, is a bit unique. Prices stopped much earlier than in other markets, and the price decrease has been slightly larger. And all of this is of course not so strange. It was one of the most inflated markets, so it only makes sense that the correction is slightly larger. But what does this mean for you as a buyer, seller or owner? Well, pretty much the same as what it did 3 months ago. Buyers and owners should expect that the car depreciates. That is, if you bought it for an average price. The days where you could buy one and drive it for free are over. Now this cannot come as a surprise. We already saw this last year in the price trends. Now as a seller, it's worth to consider your asking price. As values are coming down rapidly, a car that is priced for top dollar to begin with is unlikely to sell. In the end, it might be more efficient to sell the car with a slightly lower asking price than to have your car listed for sale for 3 months. After all, we just saw that the aggregate price trend decreased by 4% during the last 3 months. Now before we end the video, I wanted to mention that I started to post YouTube shorts once a week. The shorts cover more niche car markets that are not necessarily popular enough to be featured in their own video. They are not as detailed as you're used to, but give you a high-level overview of where the market is heading. Of course, if a short happens to do extremely well, you can expect a full-fledged market update for that car next time around. And with that we arrive at the end of this video. Now if you enjoy this data-driven way of analyzing car markets, but would like to see an analysis for a different car, head over to my channel. Over there you will find market analysis for a large variety of cars. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next week for a new video.